In 2023, a single YouTube video changed the lives of 1 million people. 100 wells across Kenya, Cameroon, Somalia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Clean water where there was none, hope where there was desperation, and every single moment captured on camera. The video has been watched over 200 million times. It raised awareness. It inspired millions. It saved lives. But it also raised a question that makes us deeply uncomfortable. When does charity become spectacle? When does helping someone become exploiting them? And in the age of social media, can we even tell the difference anymore? The phenomenon. Jimmy Donaldson is not a name you'd immediately recognize. But MrBeast? That's a different story. At just 26 years old, he commands an audience larger than most countries. Over 330 million subscribers across his channels. His videos routinely pull 100 million views within days. But MrBeast isn't famous for pranks or gaming or drama. He's famous for giving away money. Lots of it. Since 2017, he's given away an estimated $100 million. Let me put that in perspective. That's more than the annual GDP of several small nations. That's more than most Fortune 500 companies donate annually. That's more than many governments spend on foreign aid. His resume of generosity reads like fiction. Funded 1,000 cataract surgeries, restoring sight to the blind. Built 100 wells providing clean water to 1 million people. Gave away houses, cars, private islands. Planted 20 million trees through #TeamTrees. Removed 30 million pounds of trash from oceans via #TeamSeas. Built schools, funded food banks, paid for strangers' groceries. The scale is unprecedented. The impact is undeniable. But here's what makes it controversial. Every single act is filmed. Every tear, every reaction, every moment of desperation turned to joy. All of it content. And that's where our story really begins. To understand the controversy, we need to understand a term that makes people viscerally uncomfortable: poverty porn or charity porn. This isn't new. This debate has been raging for over 40 years. In 1984, Band-Aid released Do They Know It's Christmas to raise money for Ethiopian famine relief. The song raised £8 million. It also sparked fierce debate. The accompanying imagery showed starving African children, flies on their faces, distended bellies, powerful, effective, and according to critics, deeply problematic. Ethiopian scholar Ziudi Baru called it the pornography of poverty, reducing complex humanitarian crises to shock imagery designed to extract emotional responses and donations from Western audiences. Poverty porn, the exploitation of poor people's suffering for emotional impact. Fundraising, or in modern terms, content. The critique has 3 core elements. First, the dignity deficit. Think about this. Would you want your worst moment broadcast to the world? When you were sick, desperate, hungry, would you want that packaged as entertainment for hundreds of millions? The subjects of these campaigns rarely have agency. They don't control their narrative. They're reduced to symbols of poverty, of need, of helplessness. Academic research from organizations like IRIN, News and Radiaid has documented this extensively. Their studies show that such imagery reinforces harmful stereotypes, removes dignity and complexity from subjects, creates a power dynamic of savior and saved, and rarely tells the full story of why poverty exists. Second, the white savior industrial complex. Author Teju Cole coined this term in 2012, describing how Western charity often centers the donor, not the recipient. The narrative becomes, look at me saving them, rather than look at them overcoming. It's the same colonial narrative recycled, the civilized West rescuing the backward West. Third, the systemic blindness. Here's what these campaigns almost never show. Why are people poor? What are the systemic barriers? How do global economic systems perpetuate inequality? What role did colonialism, exploitation, and policy play? Instead, we get, these people are suffering. Here's a quick fix. It treats symptoms, not causes. It's a band-aid on a bullet wound. And perhaps most importantly, it makes donors feel good without requiring them to think hard. Now let's talk about MrBeast. Here's where this gets complicated. Because dismissing MrBeast as just another poverty pornographer would be intellectually dishonest. The man has done demonstrable good, real, measurable, undeniable good. Let me present the defense. Exhibit A, tangible impact at scale. Those 100 wells? They're real, they're functioning, Independent verification by organizations like Charity Water confirms it. Over 500,000 people in Kenya alone now have access to clean water, where they had none before. The World Health Organization estimates that lack of clean water kills 1,000 children every day. Do the math. Every day those wells operate, lives are saved. The 1,000 cataract surgeries, Sea International, the partner organization, documented every single one. People who couldn't see their children's faces can now see again. This isn't theoretical charity. This is material change in people's lives. Exhibit B, unprecedented transparency. The traditional charity model has a dirty secret. Overhead. The average international NGO spends 25 to 40% of donations on administration, salaries and operations. Some spend much more. The American Red Cross famously spent only 25% of Haiti earthquake donations on Haiti relief. MrBeast's model, you literally watch where every dollar goes. There's no ambiguity, no hidden costs. The well gets drilled on camera. The surgery happens on camera. The house gets built on camera. Is this performative? Yes, but it's also radically transparent. Exhibit C, the inspiration multiplier. After MrBeast's Africa video, charitable giving among his young audience spiked dramatically. Hashtag Team Trees didn't. Just plant 20 million trees, it mobilized 800,000 individual donors, most of them under 30. Hashtag Team Seas removed 30 million pounds of ocean trash, funded by a generation that supposedly doesn't care about anything. His influence has inspired thousands of smaller creators to do charity content. The ripple effect is massive. Exhibit D, the funding paradox. And here's the uncomfortable truth that critics often ignore. Without the cameras, none of this would be financially possible. MrBeast's business model is actually genius in its simplicity. Spend $3 to $5 million on a charity video. Film it, make it compelling content, earn 6 to 8 million from ads, sponsorships, and merch. Reinvest profits into bigger charity projects. Repeat. Remove the camera. The entire funding mechanism collapses. Traditional philanthropy depends on billionaire altruism or slow-moving institutional grants. MrBeast turned charity into a self-sustaining engine. Is it perfect? No, but is it effective? Undeniably. Exhibit E, the perfect versus the good. As Voltaire said, perfect is the enemy of good. Yes, governments should provide clean water to their citizens. Yes, healthcare should be a human right, not dependent on YouTube views. Yes, systemic poverty should be addressed through policy reform, wealth redistribution, and international cooperation. But what do we do while we wait for should? Do 1 million people in Kenya wait for their government to get its act together? Do children go blind while we debate the ethics of filming surgeries? MrBeast's defenders argue he's not solving systemic problems, but he is solving individual problems, and that matters. This is a strong defense, perhaps even a convincing one. But now, let's examine the other side. On January 29, 2023, MrBeast posted his Africa Well video. On January 30th, criticism exploded across social media, not from trolls or haters, from Africans, from aid workers, from ethicists who've spent decades thinking about these issues. Their critiques deserve serious engagement. Question 1, the camera requirement. If the goal is purely to help people, why must it always be filmed? Bill Gates has donated over $50 billion. Most of it happened without cameras, without fanfare, without thumbnail face reactions. Chuck Feeney, one of history's greatest philanthropists, gave away $8 billion in complete anonymity. The Giving Pledge billionaires commit vast fortunes without filming the recipients' reactions. So why does MrBeast need the camera? The obvious answer, funding model. We covered that. But there's a deeper question. At what point does the need for content compromise the dignity of the recipient? Question 2, the consent problem. Let's talk about informed consent. In medical ethics, informed consent requires full disclosure of what will happen, comprehension of the implications, voluntary agreement without coercion, competence to make the decision. Now apply this to MrBeast's charity. When a blind person is offered a sight-restoring surgery, but only if it's filmed for a video that will be seen by 100 million people, is that truly voluntary consent? Or is it coercion disguised as charity? Dr. Salman Keshavji, a global health expert at Harvard, puts it this way. When you make help conditional on publicity, You transform gift-giving into a transaction. The recipient becomes a performer in your narrative. Think about it. Can a desperate mother really say no to clean water for her children because she doesn't want to be on camera? Can a blind person refuse life-changing surgery because they value privacy? Can a homeless family reject a free house because they're uncomfortable? With YouTube fame, the power imbalance makes true consent nearly impossible. Question 3. The spectacle of suffering. Let's examine MrBeast's Africa video with cold analysis. Thumbnail. A shocked African child mouth agape. With text 1,000 people need to see this. Opening. Montage of dirty water, sick children, desperate conditions. Pacing. Quick cuts between suffering and salvation. Music, emotional manipulation through score. Reactions, prolonged focus on tears, shock, gratitude. This isn't a documentary. It's not educational content. It's not even news reporting. It's entertainment architecture. And the commodity being traded? Human suffering and relief. Media scholar Dr. Katja Pettinen describes this as suffering as spectacle. The packaging of real human pain as consumable content. Every thumbnail needs a shocked face. Every video needs crying. Every moment needs maximum emotional impact. Because that's what the algorithm rewards. MrBeast is exceptional at YouTube optimization, but optimization requires optimization choices, and those choices have ethical implications. Question 4. The savior narrative. Let's look at what MrBeast's Africa video communicates. Africa is helpless and broken. Africans cannot solve their own problems. White Western wealth must come save them. African agency is invisible. Sound familiar? It should. It's the exact narrative used to justify colonialism. Rudyard Kipling's 1899 poem, The White Man's Burden, argued it was the duty of white people to civilize and care for non-white peoples. That ideology justified centuries of exploitation. Modern charity porn updates the aesthetics, but preserves the core message. They need us, we save them. What MrBeast's video doesn't show, the thousands of African engineers, doctors, NGO workers already addressing these issues, local governments' water projects, African-led charities doing long-term development work. The structural reasons why these communities lack resources, often tied to colonial exploitation and ongoing economic extraction. By centering himself as savior, MrBeast inadvertently erases African agency. Question 5. Sustainability and dependency. Let's talk about what happens after the cameras leave. The overseas development. Institute has studied celebrity interventions in developing nations for over a decade. Their findings are sobering. Short-term interventions without local capacity. Building have a 60 to 70% failure rate within 5 years. Why? Because real development requires training local technicians, establishing supply chains for parts, creating maintenance budgets, coordinating with local government, building community ownership, ensuring cultural appropriateness. A well isn't just a hole in the ground. It's a complex system requiring pump maintenance, water quality testing, community education, backup parts supply, and governance structures. In 2024, independent journalists followed up on some of MrBeast's wells. The results were mixed. Many were functioning beautifully, maintained by trained local operators. Several had broken pumps with no repair system in place. Some communities reported no follow-up or maintenance plan. Local water authorities in some regions hadn't been consulted, creating coordination problems. To MrBeast's credit, he partnered with established organizations like Thirst Project that do provide follow-up. But the video doesn't show any of that. The video shows the exciting part, the drill, the water, the joy. It doesn't show the boring part, the 10-year maintenance contract, the local training program, the spare parts inventory, because boring doesn't go viral. Question 6. The systemic distraction. Here's perhaps the most damning critique. MrBeast's charity makes capitalism's failures feel heartwarming. Think about what we're actually watching. A system so broken that individuals need clean water, healthcare, and shelter, being fixed by a wealthy YouTuber while we watch and feel good about it. Author Anand Giridharadas, in his book Winners Take All, calls this elites laundering their reputation through feel-good charity that never addresses why they're so elite in the first place. The uncomfortable question. Does MrBeast's charity make us less likely to demand systemic change? If we can watch a heartwarming video of someone getting a well, do we stop asking why an entire continent lacks clean water infrastructure? If a YouTuber can pay for surgeries, do we stop demanding universal healthcare? Charity becomes a substitute for justice, and that's exactly what keeps broken systems in place. The ground truth. Words are cheap. Analysis is abstract, so let's look at what actually happened on the ground. After the MrBeast video went viral, several journalists and researchers independently investigated the projects. What they found was nuanced. The success stories. In Western Kenya, a community of 4,000 people received a well in partnership with Thirst Project. David Amondi, a local community organizer, said, "Before the well, women walked 8 kilometers daily for water. Children missed school to help. Now, the well is 200 meters away. Children are in school. Women have time for businesses." This changed everything. Follow up 18 months later. The well is functioning. A local committee manages it. Monthly fees cover maintenance. Thirst Project provided training and ongoing support. This is charity done right. The complicated stories. In rural Somalia, a different picture emerged. A well was drilled as part of the campaign. It worked beautifully for 6 months. Then the pump broke. The community had no spare parts, no trained technician, no budget for repairs. A local NGO worker, who asked to remain anonymous, explained, "The well came with no long-term plan. When it broke, people returned to the contaminated river. The brief hope made the return to normal even harder." This isn't MrBeast's fault per se. He partnered with organizations, but it reveals the gap between viral charity and sustainable development. The concerning stories. In one location, community members reported no consultation before the well placement. Cameras made some women uncomfortable. Local water governance structures were bypassed. When they raised concerns, they were told they were ungrateful. One woman said, "We are thankful for the water, but we are not props. We have dignity." The bigger picture. Overall, the Wells Project helped hundreds of thousands of people. That's real. That matters. But the execution was uneven. Some communities got sustainable development. Others got viral content. And that difference? It's invisible in the video. The industry MrBeast created. MrBeast didn't invent charity content, but he industrialized it. And now an entire generation of creators has learned suffering sells. Since MrBeast's rise, charity content on YouTube has exploded. 2019, approximately 5,000 charity-focused videos from mid to large creators. 2024, over 50,000 such videos. The template is everywhere. Step 1, find someone desperate. Step 2, film their desperation. Step 3, provide help. Step 4, film their grateful reaction. Step 5, profit from views. Some creators do it thoughtfully. Many do not, the worst offenders. Creators who stage fake charity for views, promise help then never deliver, exploit children's reactions, focus more on drama than actual help. MrBeast can't be blamed for copycats, but he did create the blueprint. The algorithmic incentive. YouTube's algorithm rewards emotional content. And nothing is more emotional than desperation turned to hope, tears of gratitude, shock and surprise. This creates a perverse incentive. The more desperate the subject, the more viral the content. Content strategist Colin and Samir analyzed this in their podcast. MrBeast accidentally created a market where human suffering became valuable currency. Not money, views, and views equal money, the race to the bottom. As more creators compete for charity content views, the situations must become more extreme, more desperate subjects, bigger reveals, more emotional reactions, higher stakes. It's the inevitable trajectory of any content arms race, and the people caught in the middle, the subjects of this content, the vulnerable, the desperate. They become interchangeable parts in a content machine.